Have you ever noticed that change occurs no matter what you do? Change is progress. Change is growth. Now, if you choose to take intentional action, that's when you can create the change. Hi there. I'm Debra Kasowski, 3-time best-selling author, 2-time TEDx speaker, executive coach, and the host of the Millionaire Woman Show podcast. Thank you for joining me. Today, I wanted to talk to you about change. Change happens when you change. What I often see is people think that the change has to happen in another person or their outside environment. Or if I change up, a few things here and there, that's what's going to create long-lasting, sustainable change to get the results that I want. But ultimately, it's your actions that must change in order to change yourself. Because people will say, change yourself, and you'll be like, yeah, I've been trying to change that person for a long time and it's not working. Well, what you got to realize, we can't change other people. People have to intrinsically want to change within themselves. And when there's a decision to make change or there's a new awareness, change becomes inevitable. Because it's almost like the angel and the little devil. I don't know if you ever watched the Flintstones when you were a kid, that one of them would be chirping on one side saying, no, you can't do that. Yes, you should be doing that. And it's that internal struggle. Once you are aware that change must occur, there's that internal struggle, that creative tension that gets you to step out and take the actions necessary to create that positive change. But the other thing I want you to realize is, some of the things that hold people back from change is how they tie their identity to whatever label that they've referred to themselves as. So if they see themselves in a certain role, so I'm going to use smoking, for example. So if someone only defines themselves as a smoker and they cannot visualize themselves as a non-smoker, they have an identity and a social aspect and everything that surrounds that label of smoker around themselves. And then they need to shift to thinking as a non-smoker. Now, if you want to see yourself as successful and you've been telling yourself that, you've been doing all these attempts and nothing's happening and you're going to be like, it's never going to happen for me. All of that languaging, all of that energy that you surround that change with holds you back. Now, when you start looking at how people become successful and think about what changes you need to make to get there, it really comes down to what are the actions that you're doing yourself to really shift gears. So one of the things is courage over comfort. It's stepping out of the comfort zone. And it's doing things that you want to do, but you've been afraid to do. So let's say there's a hairstyle you've been admiring. And I know these are little things, but I want you to apply it to the things that need to take action. I just want to simplify it to a very simple level so that you can take what I'm saying and think, okay, I need to make one shift, take one action. No matter if it's perfect or not, I'm going to prepare myself around it. I'm going to gain knowledge around it. And then I'm going to take that step. So for example, the haircut. Suppose you've been admiring a haircut that you've seen for a long time and you're not willing to do it. So now's the time to step out of your comfort zone and do the haircut. Maybe put some color in or something like that. So I want you to think about what is one action that you are kind of excited to do, but a little bit afraid at the same time. So get some knowledge base around it. I want you to do some due diligence before you leap, so you can prepare yourself and know that it's a risk that you might even impress yourself. You often don't know what you don't know until you've taken that step. So it's about stepping out of your comfort zone, paying attention to what you tie your identity to, because when you define yourself by a certain label, you limit yourself as to the actions and the thoughts and the beliefs that you're going to take, and therefore impacting those results that you want. So this might be why you're not getting the results you want, because you are so tied to this identity. You don't see yourself as becoming anything else. I highly recommend when I work with my clients to go get a photo shoot done, get your makeup done, get your hair done, and have a photo shoot. And this includes men as well. That when you have a good photographer profiling you, you start to see yourself differently. You start to see yourself in a new light of the person you want to step into, especially if you're looking for promotion. This is a great technique to do, is go have that photo shoot and see yourself, get dressed up and see yourself as that professional or, that confident person that you see yourself to be. It's not only for magazines. It's not only, in picture books and things like that. Own who you are, show up, and that change happens when you change. And it's a matter of changing, how you see yourself, your environment. That's another thing that I often tell the people I work with. Look at your environment. Is the environment what you visualize that person you see stepping into and doing their business or service from, even your home? Think about how you want to show up, how you want to feel. Are you putting pictures that inspire you? Do you have music? Do you have plants? Things that really bring that space into your space where you have the freedom to be yourself, to lounge and be creative, or to really take some intentional action and close the deal. So I really want you to look at your environment as well. The other thing that I want to encourage you to do, there's a phenomenal communication book called Just Listen by Dr. Mark Goulston. And Dr. Mark Goulston actually wrote the foreword for my book, Let's Be Curious, How to Ask the Right Questions, Get Better Answers so you can create what you want. Now, in his book, he talks about an example of a CEO who had been coming to him who had been struggling with communication with his son. And, he had shown him techniques to really come alongside his son and really come from being in his shoes and articulating that, it must be really tough to be so smart and not be able to have it on exams. Now, when I listened to this story, and how he got him to just pause and let his son share his feelings, that vulnerability piece, it was huge because he just darted back and he said, "Dad, I didn't even think you cared." And tears streaming down his face. Well, if that didn't knock that CEO over to really think about how he had been approaching things, I don't know what was. They had a phenomenal bonding moment, were able to communicate. They had some breakthrough. Now, it was only in the beginning. However, that breakthrough was set up for, phenomenal success. That he picked up the phone and he called Dr. Goulston and he said, "I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you." So, when you get one of those messages, Dr. Goulston phones him back and he says, "What can I help you with?" He goes, "How can I repay you? This is the closest connection I've ever had to my son." And then he says, "What you did for your son, do for your company, do for yourself." So he goes the next day and he goes to his office. And I just love this. He's in the boardroom. He calls this emergency meeting. People are at the boardroom fidgeting, thinking that they're getting the pink slip. It's doomsday in the office. And he starts off by saying, I am so disappointed. And then there's silence. I'm disappointed in myself for not listening to each one of you. And I'm here to ask you for a second chance. So you can imagine how people were. They were blown away by this CEO being vulnerable, sharing the story about his son and how he needed to listen better and how he needed to really come alongside them and trust them for their judgment and how they were working for him and not wanting to resist his ideas. Now, if we took time to realize that change happens when we change, imagine the miracles and the magic that come with that. I think it's so important. And with emotional intelligence, one of the greatest things that we can do is emotionally express ourselves. But here's the thing. When we're emotionally expressing ourselves, it's not coming from a place of reactivity. It's really about taking 100% responsibility, which means we have the ability to respond. So when we see an opportunity, when we see something that is changing and that we're wanting to resist and getting really frustrated, I want to encourage you to start asking questions. Asking what is possible with this change? What is the opportunity in this change? Because it's already happening, whether you like it or not. So it's all a matter of your perception of how you view change, how you view emotional expression. It doesn't have to be the bull in the china shop, busting through and, damaging relationships all along the way. What it needs to truly be is that you have some vulnerability to share when you make mistakes as a leader or as a parent, or share that you are part of the growth journey as well. You're learning and evolving as new situations come up, and you have that just cause attitude that everyone is being at cause and they all have the opportunity to respond versus react to situations. And when we are able to let our voice be heard and that we feel valued and appreciated, we are going to do some awesome work, but we need to create that safe place, whether it be in the environment, to make sure it's inviting, to really think about what are we tying our identity to? Are we doing an attachment to something that doesn't define who we are and where we're going or how we want to show up? Change begins when you change. And change happens when you choose to take intentional actions that are going to move you forward versus pull you away. So I want you to really think about, what is it in your environment? What is it in your relationships? What is it in your finances or recreational activity? Look at all the spheres of your life. Is there any area that you feel that you need to start taking more intentional action so you can create the change that you want? Because the change will only happen when you change. So be the change in the world you wish to see. But not only letting change happen, let yourself be the driver of that change. Let yourself be the driver of positivity and really creating what you want. By doing so, you need to be emotionally expressing yourself. You need to have a clear vision of the identity that you want to be, knowing that when you change identity versus label, that your actions must change with it. You might create new social circles. You might defriend people on social media. You may start networking in different circles, really creating the life, business, or organization you want. It starts with an idea, the idea to change, that awareness, and then the desire to shift into something greater. That greatness exists inside of you. You can gain the knowledge, you can gain the skills and ability to make it happen. And you just need to continue to reinforce the change that you have created. And this starts with your daily habits. Thank you for joining me on this video. I'd love for you to go over to my website at www.debrakasowski.com, where you can get your 3-part video course of making habits stick, so you can build focus and consistency into your goals, your dreams, and make them a reality. Thank you for joining me. If you like this video, please share it and subscribe so you don't miss a single one. And there's several other videos on this channel to help continue to support you along your journey. Thank you for joining me. I'm Debra Kasowski.